Welcome to a moment that feels less like a standard tournament announcement and more like a seismic shift in the hierarchy of professional tennis. We are standing on the precipice of the French Open, a tournament defined by its rigid traditions, its grueling red clay, and its legendary gatekeepers. But something has changed this year. Something unprecedented has just occurred in the halls of Roland Garros, and it has sent a shockwave from Paris all the way to Manila and beyond. The director of the French Open, the legendary Amélie Mauresmo, has not just opened the doors for a young rising star. She has effectively rolled out a red carpet that we have rarely, if ever, seen for a player at the stage of their career. We are talking about Eala, the Filipina sensation who is no longer just a prospect or a player to watch. According to the highest authorities in French tennis, she is a global priority. Amélie Mauresmo recently took to live television, and what she did was nothing short of a revolution in tournament diplomacy. Typically, a Grand Slam director remains a distant, neutral figure, focusing on the logistics of the draw and the integrity of courts. But Mauresmo broke that mold entirely. She didn't just mention Eala in passing. She offered a full-throated, personal welcome that acknowledged Eala's immense talent and her even more immense cultural impact. This wasn't a standard PR statement. This was a direct signal to the world that Roland Garros recognizes the Eala movement and is adjusting its entire infrastructure to accommodate it. The buzz is deafening. From the streets of Paris to the digital forums where tennis fans congregate, the conversation is no longer just about who will win the title, but about how the French Open is positioning itself to be the home of the Eala era. This level of acknowledgement is a statement of respect, yes, but it is also a recognition of a shifting reality in the sporting world. We are witnessing the birth of a new kind of superstar, one who carries the hopes of an entire nation and an entire continent on her shoulders every time she steps onto the clay. Mauresmo's decision to personally ensure that Eala feels welcomed and valued before a single ball has been struck is a masterstroke of leadership. It tells us that the French Open is no longer content to just watch history happen. They want to be the stage where that history is written. Today, we're going to dive deep into this breaking story. We're going to look at why a former world number one and current tournament director would go to such lengths for a young player. We're going to analyze the Eala effect that has already decimated the ticket offices in Miami and Indian Wells. And we're going to explore what this means for the future of the sport. This is not just a tennis story. This is a story about power, business, culture, and the rise of an icon who is redefining what it means to be a professional athlete in 2026. To understand the magnitude of what is happening in Paris right now, we have to look at the words of Amélie Mauresmo herself. On live television, the Roland Garros director was remarkably candid. She spoke about her personal involvement in every facet of the tournament, from security and food to the scheduling and player welfare. But when the topic turned to Eala, her tone shifted from logistical to admiring. Mauresmo didn't just talk about Eala as a competitor. She talked about her as a complete package. She praised her power, her movement, and the sheer variety in her game. For a legend like Mauresmo to highlight a player's variety on clay is significant because Roland Garros is the ultimate test of a player's tactical depth. By saying Eala is up there, Mauresmo is placing her in the elite tier of modern competitors. But it's the personal touch that has everyone talking. Mauresmo admitted that she personally reached out to ensure Eala's transition into the French Open was immaculate. Think about the weight of that word. Immaculate. This means that the French Open is providing a level of hospitality and support that is usually reserved for the Rafael Nadals and the IGA Swiateks of the world. Why go to such lengths? Because Mauresmo is a veteran of the tour. She knows that the pressure on a young star like Eala is unlike anything else. When you are the face of a nation's sporting dreams, the noise can be overwhelming. By providing this warm welcome, Mauresmo is attempting to create a sanctuary for Eala within the grounds of Roland Garros. She wants Eala to feel at home so that she can perform at her peak. This is a sign of deep, institutional respect. It's an admission that Eala isn't just another name in the 128-person draw. She is a centerpiece of the 2026 tournament. Furthermore, Mauresmo made a startling admission regarding the fans. She stated, without hesitation, that she and the Roland Garros authorities are fully aware of the scale of Eala's following. They aren't pretending this is a normal influx of spectators. They are preparing for a massive wave of support. The scheduling, according to Mauresmo, has been meticulously planned to ensure that every fan who travels from the Philippines or across the Asian continent will be able to witness or play. This is an extraordinary logistical commitment. Usually, the show courts are reserved based on ranking or past championships. But Mauresmo is signaling that Eala's cultural draw is so significant that it warrants a reimagining of how the tournament operates. This is the Eala movement in action, a force of nature that is compelling the most prestigious tournament in the world to adapt its rules and its schedule to meet the demand of the public. To truly appreciate why the French Open is being so proactive, we have to look at the recent history of the 2026 season, specifically the events in Miami and Indian Wells. These two tournaments served as a massive wake-up call for the tennis world. Let's start with the Miami Open. James Blake, the tournament director, saw something he had never seen before. When Alex Eala was on the court, the atmosphere didn't just feel like a tennis match. It felt like a championship final in a football stadium. The energy was electric. The stands were packed to the rafters. But it wasn't just about the vibe. It was about the cold, hard cash. During Eala's run in Miami, ticket prices didn't just rise. They soared. Observers who had been in the business for decades were stunned by the demand. Eala was creating moments that people were willing to pay premium prices to see. James Blake made a calculated, brilliant decision during that tournament. He saw the data and moved Eala to the biggest courts available. He maximized her visibility, and the gamble paid off. The Miami Open became a global focal point, particularly in the Asian markets. Viewership numbers were hitting record highs because Eala was effectively the face of the tournament. She was a wild card who was playing like a veteran and drawing crowds like a legend. But then the bubble burst. When Eala was eliminated in the round of 16, the aftermath was a stark reminder of her singular importance to the bottom line. The numbers are staggering. Reports indicated that while Eala was in the draw, daily revenue from ticket sales and media streams was fluctuating between $500,000 and $1 million per day. That is a massive haul for a mid-tournament period. However, the moment she lost, that revenue plummeted to around $100,000 per day. That is not a dip. That is a 90% collapse in daily revenue. It proved that a massive portion of the audience wasn't there for tennis. They were there for Alex Eala. When she left, they left. They turned off their TVs, they stopped buying tickets, and they went home. This was a terrifying realization for tournament directors. It showed that the product of tennis is currently being held up by a few key pillars, and Eala has become one of the strongest pillars in the entire sport. Then came Indian Wells, the 5th Grand Slam. Tommy Haas, the director there, faced a similar situation. When Eala made her debut, the excitement was palpable. One single match. Her opener against Diana Yastremska was reported to have generated millions in ticket sales and related revenue. The Eala premium was real. But Haas also learned the hard way about the Eala exit. When her run ended, the tournament felt a sudden chill. Haas was even moved to criticize the WTA, suggesting that the governing body wasn't doing enough to leverage the star power of players like Eala. He realized that the sport has a rare unicorn on its hands, a player who can draw a non-traditional audience and generate historic levels of revenue, and he felt the industry was failing to support that momentum. This brings us back to Amélie Mauresmo. She is a student of the game, and clearly, she is a student of business as well. She watched Miami. She watched Indian Wells. She saw the $1 million days and the $100,000 collapses. She saw James Blake's success and Tommy Haas's frustration, and she decided that Roland Garros would not be caught off guard. Mauresmo's VIP treatment of Eala is a strategic move to ensure that the Eala movement feels respected and integrated into the fabric of the French Open. By making Eala feel at home, Mauresmo is hoping to extend Eala's run in the tournament. The longer Eala stays in the draw, the more tickets Roland Garros sells, the higher the media rights value becomes, and the more the French Open cements itself as the premier destination for global tennis fans. It is a fascinating blend of genuine sportsmanship and cold, hard business. Is Mauresmo being kind? Absolutely. Is she being smart? Incredibly so. There's a deep admiration for Eala's game, the power, movement, and variety that Mauresmo mentioned. But there is also the realization that Eala is a cultural melting pot of an athlete. She represents a bridge to the Asian market that tennis has been trying to build for decades. Players like Lina open the door, but Eala is kicking it down and bringing a whole new generation with her. The French Open authorities understand that they would be leaving millions of dollars on the table if they didn't embrace her fully. But let's look at the player herself, because none of this business talk matters if she can't perform. What Mauresmo highlighted, the variety and movement, is what makes Eala so dangerous on clay. Clay is a surface that rewards patience, spin, and the ability to change the direction of the ball. Eala has shown that she isn't just a baseline basher. She has the touch and the court intelligence to thrive in the red dirt of Paris. Her performance over the last year has been a thrill ride, as the input suggests. She has transitioned from a promising wild card into a player that the top seeds are genuinely afraid to face. She carries the weight of expectation with a grace that is rare for someone her age. This is why the VIP welcome matters. In tennis, the mental game is 90% of the battle. If a player feels supported by the tournament, if they feel like they belong on the big stage, they play with a level of freedom that is impossible to replicate. Mauresmo is effectively giving Eala the permission to be a superstar. By acknowledging the crowds and scheduling needs, Mauresmo is telling Eala, "We are ready for you. We have built the stage for you. Now, go out and show them why you belong." This kind of institutional backing can be the difference between a second-round exit and a deep run into the second week. The global significance of this cannot be overstated. For decades, tennis has been seen as a primarily European and American sport. There have been outliers, of course, but the center of gravity has always stayed in the West. Eala is shifting that gravity. She is bringing a level of passion from the Philippines that we usually only see in boxing or basketball. She is making tennis cool and accessible to a demographic that the sport has historically struggled to reach. When Mauresmo says she is aware of the scale of Eala's following, she is acknowledging a new world order in tennis. The French Open is no longer just a French tournament. It is a global event that must cater to a global audience. As we look toward the opening rounds, the tension is building. The welcome has been given. The immaculate preparations are complete. The fans are arriving in Paris from all over the world, their bags packed with flags and their voices ready to cheer. Roland Garros has made its move. They have bet big on Eala. They have recognized her not just as a player, but as a phenomenon. They have seen what happened in Miami and Indian Wells, and they have chosen to lean into the chaos rather than shy away from it. This is a moment of total alignment. The players' talent, the tournament's prestige, and the fans' passion are all converging in Paris. Amélie Mauresmo has set the stage with a level of class and foresight that proves why she is one of the best directors in the game. She has protected the tournament's interests while honoring the sport's rising star. Now it all comes down to clay. It comes down to those lines, that net and that yellow ball. If Eala can channel this incredible support and the respect of the tournament director into her game, we might be looking at one of the most historic runs in the history of the French Open. The world is watching. The cameras are focused, and the Eala movement is about to take over the City of Light. As we wrap up this deep dive into what is arguably the most significant player-director interaction of the 2026 season, we have to pause and reflect on the sheer scale of what we are witnessing. We often talk about rising stars in sports, but Eala has bypassed that label entirely. She has become a gravitational force. When the director of Roland Garros, a woman who has seen every legend of the modern era pass through those gates, decides to personally and publicly welcome a young player with such intensity, the narrative changes. This is no longer just about a tournament. It's about the evolution of the sport itself. The Eala effect is a phenomenon that combines high-level athletic performance with an unprecedented level of commercial and cultural power. We saw it in the numbers from Miami. The $1 million days followed by the total collapse of revenue upon her exit. We saw it at Indian Wells, where Tommy Haas was left pleading for more support to capitalize on her presence. And now, we are seeing the culmination of those lessons at the French Open. Amélie Mauresmo has proven that she is a leader who looks ahead. She didn't wait for the revenue to drop or for the fans to complain. She acted preemptively. She created an immaculate environment for Eala, ensuring that the star of the show felt valued before the first curtain rose. This leads us to a fascinating series of questions that will define the next few weeks in Paris. First and foremost, what do you all think about this unprecedented move? We've seen tournament directors be polite, but we've rarely seen them be this protective and proactive. Do you believe Amélie Mauresmo's personal welcome is a sign of genuine, deep-seated respect for Eala's unique talent and the variety she brings to the game? Or do you see this primarily as a brilliant, cold-blooded business move? After seeing the financial carnage that followed Eala's exits in Miami and Indian Wells, it's hard to blame any director for doing everything in their power to keep her in the tournament as long as possible. Is it possible that it's both a perfect marriage of sporting admiration and commercial necessity? And then there is the pressure. By rolling out the red carpet, has Mauresmo accidentally increased the weight on Eala's shoulders? When the director of a Grand Slam says the scheduling has been modified specifically for your fans and that the entire world is watching, that is a lot for any athlete to process. Can Eala take that energy and turn it into fuel? We saw her do in Miami, where she thrived in the electric atmosphere of the center courts. We saw her do it at Indian Wells, where she broke revenue records in her very first match. But Roland Garros is a different beast. The clay is slower, the matches are longer, and the history is heavier. Do you believe she can replicate that same magic in the hard Paris? There's a sense that we are on the verge of something truly historic. If Eala can navigate the early rounds and build momentum, the Eala movement will reach a fever pitch that might be unlike anything the French Open has ever seen. We could be looking at a tournament where the atmosphere in the stands rivals a Davis Cup final or a World Cup match. This is the power of a player who represents more than just herself. She represents a nation's pride and a region's emergence as a tennis powerhouse. We want to hear from you. This story is developing by the hour, and the community's voice is a huge part of the Eala movement. Do you think Eala is about to take Roland Garros by storm and prove that Mauresmo's faith was well placed? Or is the hype reaching a level that is impossible for any young player to live up to? How do you feel about the business side of tennis? Is it right for tournaments to give VIP treatment to players based on their ticket selling power, or should every player be treated exactly the same regardless of their following? Drop everything you're thinking in the comments below. Your insights, your theories, and your passion are what make this sport great. We are reading every single comment, and we want to know if you think we are witnessing the start of a new era. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the shifting power dynamics of the French Open and the rise of Eala, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We will be here throughout the tournament, bringing you the latest updates, the deepest analyses, and the most compelling stories from the red clay of Paris. The welcome has been given, the stage has been set, and now it's time for the tennis to speak. Is Eala the future of the French Open? We're about to find out together. Stay tuned.